Hey, it's Lisa Nickel. Welcome to the Sacred and Rooted podcast. I'm your host. This episode is part of the Happiness Habit series. It's Happiness Habit number 18. And so there are 17 others that you can feel free to go back to and check out if you're looking for sort of an infusion of happiness, habit inspiration, or if you're just looking to binge listen to a podcast, whatever works. This summer we did a bunch, and then last summer as well. So there are episodes 18 through 28 on the podcast, and then the last few for this recent summer. I'm glad you're here. This episode is going to be about a book that I read, but I say it in quotations because it was an audiobook, so I listened. But I do think I'm actually going to order it. I do that sometimes with books that really hit me, and I feel like either they're a really good resource or something I would read again. And in this case, I think I may read it again. And when I archive things on Audible, I'm not sure how to get them back. Anyways, send me a message if you know how, because I have not actually tried, but I also know that when I archive, they sort of disappear into some ether that I'm unaware of how to get back. So that's I'm not very high tech. This book is called The 12-Week Year, and it's by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. And I listened to it a couple weeks ago, and it just really kind of moved me in a way that has not happened in a while, because I've been so focused on reading. I feel like I've been devouring spiritual books and, feminine archetypes and divine feminine, like basically everything I can get my hands on when it comes to, or in the realm of feminine energy and embodiment, and then the spiritual unseen in the world. And that's been amazing. But then I happened to get across, or this book, I'm not even sure how I heard about it, but it came across my attention somehow. I got it on Audible because I knew that it'd be easier to do or listen to than find time to read it. And it just really spoke to me because I think I've been so deep in the rabbit hole of feminine energy and spirituality that I probably have gone further into that than, it's a little off balance maybe at this point. And so the 12-week year really got me, back to the structures that I need to embody, like the balance between the masculine and the feminine. There is no, one isn't better than the other, but they need to both show up. And so for my entire life until probably the last few years, I have, operated in a very masculine way in the world where, there's lots of achievement, success, there's always striving. And so since I've had kids, which I guess I shouldn't say the last few years, they're like 17. The girls are 17, which is insane. But yeah, it seems like since I've had kids, I've been in sort of a mystery school of what, the feminine, really finding what is that for me? How does it fit in my life? My kids are all Pisces, Cancer, very emotional. That's sort of their natural place of living, if you want to say that. My partner is a Scorpio, so he's even more into, it's just all, I'm surrounded by emotional kind of people that are not necessarily, I don't want to say emotional. They are emotional, but in a good way, not in a, they're so emotional, but they're really in touch with their emotions. Let's say that's a much more accurate take on it. And whereas I am happy to live in my mind, in my intellect, in the clouds, and they are very much having a physical spiritual body experience, and their emotions, they're tapped in very quickly to their emotions, and that's sort of their natural place to be and where they come from. And so it's been definitely a ride, and I feel like I've integrated a lot of that. And so even I say lately, I think because lately I've been even more, it feels like there's an urgency to take in certain information, history on things, to really then bring it forward to my audience, to my online community. And so that's where I've been until this 12-week year, because just recently, probably over the summer, maybe even as far back as March, I've been craving, like I have all this information, I have all this wealth of background, and I mean, I've been in studying spirituality in different modalities that way since I've been an adult. But I felt like I was kind of floating around in this, in the possibility of it all, but not really sure how to clearly and succinctly bring that to a wider audience. And until recently, and so this book came across my plate, and I thought, okay, yeah, I need to make myself some goals, some deadlines, and just really get on with myself. So here we are. I read this book, or I listened to it, and it was excellent. And so I just wanted to bring this to you through this podcast. Anyone who's looking for a little kick in the pants, a little, what do you call it? You make something, you want to look back on it, you want to measure it, you want to see how you did, to keep yourself kind of in line a little bit, more than just getting distracted and having your path very circular and, all over the place. You're in the ditch, you're in another person's path, you're in outer space, who knows what. And so this book, I think, is a very simple, very effective way of setting up your life. And so it is called the 12-week year. And it's called the 12-week year because essentially their argument is that if you make goals in, New Year's, kind of is when maybe most people do them, we have a whole year to get them done. And so a lot of the urgency or the focus or the priority is not those goals for maybe a bunch of the year. And that's true for me for sure. I have goals, and some of them it's like, well, I got a whole year, so I'll just go do this and that and the other thing, and then I'll really look at them again probably in the summer and try and get them done right at the end, because I mean that is naturally how I work. I do like to have a little bit of pressure, a little bit of like, okay, this has to happen now or never kind of thing. When I'm sitting back with a whole year to go or a whole whatever to go, I can get distracted with other things because I have so many things that I want to do and experience in this life. So they are arguing that you should not make goals over a 12-year period, or if you want to, what you should do then is immediately break them down into 4 seasons, basically, or what is 12 weeks? Not 4. Yeah, 4 seasons. That's right. So 3 months. And you should also, at least when you're starting off with this, to make yourself more successful at it, just focus on one goal at a time. And so give yourself 12 weeks. There's also one extra bonus week of either working like hell to get your goal finished, or to just reassess yourself and say, okay, for the next 3 months, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to focus on. And to figure that out and sort of integrate how it went for the previous 3 months. And so this I've just started. So I am going into week 2. So I'm super new with this, trying this out. But I've already seen great results, or not even, I can't even say I've seen great results because my first week wasn't super stellar, I have to say. But I can see that the foundation I'm laying is going to be excellent in the long run. First week, there wasn't a whole lot of like, yay, good job, I hit that mark, I hit that mark, I hit that mark. Now, my goal was, or is, there's two of them because I can't do, I don't know, I feel like I have two. I have one they're both related to health, so that's maybe one goal. But one is more to do with eating. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like pouring rain outside all of a sudden, so sorry about that background noise. So they're all about health, but one of them, like, broken down into two mini goals, say. One of them is more like body related, like, cutting down on sugar, making sure I'm getting enough sleep, that kind of thing. And then the other one is movement oriented. So it's like I have a goal of steps for a week. I have a goal of how many times I want to do sort of a weight routine workout. And the weights I haven't done in, I don't even know, years and years. And so that's sort of like a big add for me. And I'm excited about it, but it's also just something totally different. So I need to, I don't know, it seems like I have to work into it, but really I just have to get over myself and do it. Anyways, that's not actually really the point. So what I have noticed, though, is that when push comes to shove, if I have, the other thing is I've had these planners sitting by my bedside table for years, and I've always wanted to use them, and I started using them at some point, but I just sort of got off of it. I didn't find it very helpful, but I always kept them, and I knew that I wanted to use them. I just didn't know when or why, and I was just about to like give them away to Goodwill. And then this book came into my life, and now I'm like, oh, perfect. These things are perfect. So I have two planners that I'm going to go through at some point. I started using one, and it's great because what I found is, I'm highly effective at work. I have a journal. I keep track of what's my list of things to do this week? What's my list of things to do next month? Whatever. And that really helps focus down like what needs to happen today, my absolute need to do today. And then the rest of the list is like for another day in the week or whatever. I have that down to a science, no problem. I don't do that in my personal life though. And so this journaling or this like agenda that I have really helps me do the same thing for my personal life, my health, my time with my loved ones, my hopes and dreams for the future, that kind of stuff. And so I started using this agenda, and it just sort of it clarifies, I guess, what do I really want to get done this week? Of all the things that are floating around in my mind, like what's this week? What should it look like to be like a success that I can build off of? And it's a unique kind of agenda because it's not just like dates and space to write. It actually is 2 big pages, and you go through your menstrual cycle. Where are you on your menstrual cycle? Where is the moon? What are the transits? What's your body doing? How's your energy level? What are your like top 3 things you want to get done? And it even has 2 columns. One is obviously things you're going to do this week, but also a column for like the universe's to-do list. And so things that you are asking for support on through the unseen synchronicities of the world, you put in that list. And then it's like, you feel like, okay, I got my stuff over here and the universe has their stuff over there, and we'll see how it all plays out, And then there's a big checklist kind of scheduler where you can put items. Like for me, I have, get 8 hours of sleep because that's like mostly a dream amount of sleep for me. But when I do get it, it's like, oh, so nice. So I've written it down like I'd like to have more than a few days a week where that happens. I've put like no sugary desserts or no sugar anythings, just, to get that out of the way. So if I have a whole day like that, then I'm like, perfect. I have another one where it's like just only water and teas, just to make sure I've got like no pop days, no, no beer, no wine, just like clean days. And then I have my exercise stuff, so I can literally just real quick just check off like, yep, did it, did my exercise, did my steps, did or didn't do whatever. So it's a little more thorough than just, like the typical ones. Like the one I have at work is just like calendar days, and then here's what you're doing for these days. This one's like a whole holistic, I would say, a holistic kind of agenda. And so you get it's like everything else that I've never kept track of, where it's like, what are you doing for your health? What are you doing for, with the loves in your life? What are you doing for your hobbies? That kind of thing. And so I've been using it, and it's brilliant. So what I found just with the first couple days, or well, the first week, and then the preparation week where I was sort of cooking on it and thinking about how I would do this or what I would do as my first goal. What I found is that writing down in my agenda gets me kind of focused on it. Like it's important now because I've written it out. I've put more than 2 seconds thought into it. And so I've brought it up in priority to match my work goals because, forever my work has been quite a priority, and I really want to change that. I don't want it to be like that anymore. I want it to be in concert with the rest of my life, because the rest of my life is actually more important than my work, even though obviously, everyone needs money to survive and to have a nice life too. But at the end of the day, if you're sitting on your deathbed, you're not going to be complaining that you didn't work enough, right? So that's one thing. Then the next thing I found is during the week, because I have in mind, and I glance at it every morning, what my kind of aims are for the week. If I have some free time somewhere in between some things, or, maybe I'm not quite feeling like it, but I'm remembering like, oh yeah, I'm short on steps today, or I didn't do my weight routine, I should really go do that. It just adds a little more like follow through. And so instead of just saying like, I'll do it tomorrow, or there's always on the weekend, you kind of do it more every day or every few days, because you have this like week kind of end of the week goal, and you want to be accountable to yourself. You want to, I would love to live to 100. So how the hell am I going to live to 100 if my body's like a disaster or something? Because after so many years, I just kind of like, meh, that's okay. I'll just let it go. I'll just, there's lots of people in the world who, as they get older, they're just like, oh, I guess that's just the way it is now. My body just doesn't quite work the way it should. And I really don't want that to be something that I experience in a long-term way. I mean, there's always illness or injury, but as far as just accepting that, I am going to try as long as I can to kind of keep that mentality from marinating through my system. So yeah, I found that is really very effective for me, where it's like if I'm sort of, I could be doing something for my body, or I could be doing I could go to bed early, get some sleep, instead of watching TV longer or whatever, then it's like, no, yeah, I really should go to bed. Yeah, I need that 8 hours sleep so I can check it off on my little checkbox thing. And somehow that just gets you over the the tendency to just be super comfortable in the moment, where you're like, well, I just am going to chill out right here and not do any of my things. Then, I think it helps get us from, comfort in the short term to, a long-term healthier habitual thing. And so I just wanted to come on here and share this book with you all. And if anyone needs, I guess it's, what is it? I guess it's September 1st when I'm recording this. And so we have 4 months till the end of the year, and it just felt like, and it's a new moon tomorrow, so it's perfect time to start something new. The beginning of a week, if you want to, listen to this book, read the book, or even just start, maybe you're inspired to grab your agenda that you've had in the corner of your room for ages like I have, and to start using it, and just to really, I guess the whole point of this is to just live a life that's more holistically successful, and that therefore causes you, I guess the result of it is just a really thoroughly infused sense of happiness and satisfaction. And for ages, and I mean, society teaches us this, there's not a lot of encouragement for like a well-rounded, completely successful human. And there's a lot of accolades, there's a lot of external success found in achievements that have to do with, business or money or things. And I love that at this point in time it feels like, and at least where I, hang out on the internet, there's a lot of movement towards, how's your mental health? How's your physical health? How's your, just like, how are you experiencing life? And that work is not the absolute only way to feel like you have a successful life, and it's really not the most important thing at all. I remember years ago, I had I don't know if he was my great uncle or my great uncle. He was my dad's uncle, so I guess that's my great uncle. Anyways, he was somebody that I hardly ever saw while he was alive. He lived in BC. We lived in the East Coast of Canada, and so it's the opposite ends of the country, and the country's huge. So we certainly never went to BC when we were younger. And he would come, I think it maybe was twice or 3 times while I was growing up, and he was a very nice man. Like, he just had a loving presence, and just really, like, you could tell he was just enjoying the fact that he was there. I never knew what he did for work or what any of his, like, background was, other than that I always knew that he had just such a huge heart. Like, he was such a lovely soul. So fast forward to, I don't know, probably 15 years ago, and he had died. And his obituary, we ended up, the family would email the obituary around, so everyone had a copy. And I remember reading it and thinking, like, wow, this is the first obituary I've ever read. And I love genealogy. I've, like, researched the crap out of my family, so I have actually read a lot of obituaries. And usually they, it would be like, so-and-so was in this club and that club and this, association and that association. They had this degree and that degree and worked wherever for whatever amount of years. Like, it was all about, like, their external successes. And then, of course, they'd list the family and stuff, but it wouldn't really go into detail about, like, what was the person about? Like, how were they? What was the experience of them? And so this guy, my great uncle, his obituary was much shorter, but really a lot more telling as far as, like, what really moved him and what was he about. And so it said, I think he was a teacher, but it went into detail about more detail than just, he was a teacher. That was basically one sentence. That was the end of it. But that he had a loving relationship with his wife. He enjoyed his grandkids. They would go here and, share summers together wherever, I don't know where. And just, it really gave you a much more, like the meaning of having a successful life. Like that obituary was it, because it was like they went through like how it touched him, like to experience his kids' lives, to witness his grandkids and be part of their life. It was all about the relationships that he had built, and the love that he shared with all these various family members, friends. And then, he volunteered, and it meant this and that to him. Like, it wasn't just, a part of whatever association, like as if he's just putting in time. It was like, he's volunteered here because of this reason, making a difference for what the X, Y, and Z. And so that, I remember reading it and thinking, this is actually what I want to have my obituary read like, if possible. If humanly possible. Because before that, it's just, it was so much more like the stats of the person you got in the obituary, but you didn't have a feel at all for what they liked, what they didn't like, how much of a good person, how like genuine they were, how compassionate they were, or anything like that. It was just still a mystery, like their actual soul. And this obituary was just beautiful. So I don't know how I got off the track there, but I think where I got off track was basically because this episode is about the 12-week year, to really use the 12-week year as a tool to, keep you focused, keep you on your path, and to not, like, I'm sure we're all old enough to know that life sometimes, there's no sense to it sometimes, as far as, when it's someone's time to go, when it's, a miraculous recovery, when there's just no saying how long any one of us has here. And so to just keep you focused and to let the distractions kind of fall away, because there is plenty of distractions. And they're fun for bits of time, but not for like long periods of time where you end up looking back and it's just like, I don't even know what I did for all that time there. Like somehow I was just on my phone scrolling on Instagram or whatever, or watching the freaking TikTok reels. Like it is addicting, and it's brutal, because it's not, it's fun for a bit, but it's not something that needs to happen every day for hours and hours. And so to just prioritize and keep reprioritizing and recommitting to your dreams, to your hopes, to the way you want your life to unfold, and how you want to be remembered, even in this life, if you want to get all the way into the end of your life talks, which I think is how I got onto the obituary discussion there. But yeah, to just always recommitting to yourself, because that's what it is really in the end, right? It's your hopes and dreams, whatever's on your heart is important, and it's worth seeing the light of day. And so to make that happen, sometimes we have to we have to prioritize it. We have to say, okay, this is important to me. I want to make this happen. How can I make this happen? And so that's part of this 12-week year thing, is to just keep you kind of moving in the direction that means something to you. And by doing meaningful things in your life, the byproduct of that is happiness and fulfillment. And I think I'll leave it at that for today. All right, that was a bit of a long happiness habit, but I feel like I had a few things I needed to get off my chest. I'm just so excited about this book. I think it's going to be something that I use for the rest of my life, because it's just really got me re-energized and refocused. And with some focus comes greater clarity, like the action you're taking towards your dreams. As you're taking the action, you get more clarity in the next few steps and all that. And so it's a beautiful journey. So I wish you a great day. happy new moon for tomorrow, and I also encourage you to write out, like, while we're doing all this, write out your hopes and dreams for the future, and maybe pick a couple and do a 12-week year thing and see how it goes. Play around with it. Life is a game. Try not to take it too seriously. All right. Take care, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.